The committee Maya arrived at Hartwell Cross at 8:15 a.m., 45 minutes before the partnership committee meeting that would determine her future. She'd chosen her armor carefully. A charcoal gray suit with a silk blouse the color of burgundy wine, her hair pulled back in a sleek bun, minimal jewelry except for the diamond studs her mother had given her when she graduated law school. Professional, polished, unbreakable. The lobby was already buzzing with early morning associates clutching coffee cups and briefing books. Maya felt their eyes follow her as she crossed to the elevators, heard the whispers that cut off when she got close enough to make out words. The press conference had made her notorious. Jennifer's lawsuit had made her scandalous. And now everyone wanted to see if she'd survive the committee. Melissa at reception gave her a sympathetic smile as Maya passed. "Good luck today." "Thanks." Maya managed to return the smile, though her stomach was twisted in knots. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor felt interminable. Maya stared at her reflection in the polished doors, searching for cracks in her composure. She looked calm, confident, like someone who belonged in the partnership, not someone whose career was hanging by a thread because she'd fallen in love with the wrong person at the wrong time. Except Cameron wasn't wrong. That was the truth. She'd have to make them understand. Patricia was waiting in the small conference room Richard had designated as their staging area. She looked as impeccably put together as always, her tailored navy suit and cream blouse projecting quiet authority. A leather portfolio sat on the table in front of her, along with 2 cups of coffee. "You're early," Patricia said approvingly. "That's good. Shows you're not hiding." "I'm terrified," Maya admitted, closing the door behind her. "Is that allowed?" "Absolutely. Just don't let them see it." Patricia gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit. We have 30 minutes to go over your statement one more time." Maya sat, accepting the coffee Patricia pushed toward her. "Has Jennifer?" "No sign of her yet, but we're prepared if she shows up. Richard has security on alert, and Detective Chen is on standby if she violates the restraining order by coming within 100 feet of the building." Maya took a sip of coffee, letting the warmth steady her. "What about the committee? Do you know who's attending?" "All 7 senior partners, including Richard, Victoria Chen, Michael Brennan, David Walsh, Sarah Kim, Robert Martinez, and Diana Foster." Patricia ticked them off on her fingers. "Victoria and Diana are your strongest advocates. Michael and David are likely to be hardliners about policy violations. Sarah, Robert, and Richard are the swing votes. So I need to convince at least 2 of the 3 swing votes that I deserve partnership despite everything." That's the calculation. Patricia opened her portfolio, pulling out a typed document. "Your statement is strong. You acknowledge the relationship, explain the context of Jennifer's harassment, and own your choices without apologizing for them. The key is striking the right balance between accountability and defiance." Maya scanned the statement she'd spent half the night refining. It felt simultaneously too long and not nearly comprehensive enough to capture everything that had happened. What if they ask about the surveillance footage? The videos Jennifer claims to have? Then you tell them the truth. Jennifer Hartwell is a stalker who violated your privacy by filming through your apartment windows. If she releases that footage, she faces criminal charges for unlawful surveillance and revenge porn. You refuse to be blackmailed by threats of exposure. Patricia's voice was firm. "Maya, this committee needs to see that you're not a victim who made poor choices out of fear. You're a woman who made difficult choices while being terrorized, and you're still standing. But I did violate Richard's directive. Multiple times, knowingly. Yes, and you're going to explain why." Patricia leaned forward. "Jennifer showed up outside your building at 3 in the morning, promising to deliver justice personally. She'd been stalking you for weeks. She'd already proven she had access to surveillance footage. You were terrified and alone, and Cameron was the person you trusted most in the world. You chose safety and love over perfect compliance with an advisory directive that wasn't disciplinary in nature." Maya met Patricia's eyes. "You make it sound almost reasonable." "It is reasonable. The question is whether this committee can see past their concern about appearances long enough to recognize that." Patricia glanced at her watch. 20 minutes. Let's go through the likely questions one more time. They spent the next 15 minutes in rapid-fire preparation, Patricia throwing hypothetical questions at Maya while she practiced her responses. By the time Patricia's phone buzzed with a text from Richard indicating the committee was ready, Maya felt as prepared as she was going to be. Which was to say, not nearly prepared enough. The conference room where partnership votes were traditionally held was on the opposite end of the 42nd floor, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan and a massive mahogany table that seated 12. When Maya and Patricia entered at exactly 8:57 a.m., all 7 senior partners were already seated, their faces arranged in expressions ranging from sympathetic concern to barely concealed disapproval. Richard sat at the head of the table, his expression carefully neutral. Victoria Chen, a sharp-eyed woman in her early 50s with silver-streaked black hair, gave Maya an encouraging nod from her seat on Richard's right. Diana Foster, whose elegant features and warm brown skin had made her the face of the firm's diversity recruitment efforts, offered a small smile. On the opposite side, Michael Brennan, no relation to Jennifer's attorney, looked like he'd already made up his mind. His arms were crossed over his barrel chest, his Irish features set in stern lines. David Walsh, pale and thin with wire-rimmed glasses, had his laptop open, presumably reviewing Maya's file. Sarah Kim and Robert Martinez occupied the middle positions, their expressions carefully professional. Sarah was Korean-American, probably in her late 40s, with a reputation as one of the firm's best litigators. Robert was Mexican-American, mid-50s, who'd made partner on the strength of his corporate work. Ms. Reeves, Ms. Ramos, please sit. Richard gestured to the chairs at the opposite end of the table. Maya took her seat, Patricia beside her. The leather portfolio containing her statement sat in front of her like a shield. "Thank you all for convening on short notice," Richard began, his voice formal. "We're here to discuss Maya Reeves's candidacy for partnership, which has been complicated by recent events. Maya has requested this meeting to address those events directly with the committee." "Complicated is putting it mildly," Michael said. His Boston accent made the words sound harsher than they might have been. "We've got a lawsuit, a restraining order, and a very public press conference that made this firm look like we can't control our own employees." "Jennifer Hartwell is not our employee," Victoria interjected coolly. "She was fired for cause after attempting to blackmail Maya and engaging in criminal harassment. The press conference was necessary to establish the facts before she could poison the narrative." The press conference also revealed that Maya has been in a romantic relationship with Cameron Pierce, David said, looking up from his laptop. "A relationship that violates firm policy requiring disclosure within 30 days. A relationship that couldn't be disclosed because Jennifer was using it as blackmail material," Diana pointed out. "The timeline is clear. Jennifer discovered the relationship through device tracking, threatened Maya with exposure, and escalated to stalking when Maya refused to comply with her demands. That's Maya's version," Michael said. "But we also have surveillance footage showing Cameron Pierce entering and leaving Maya's apartment repeatedly over the past week, after Richard explicitly ordered them to maintain professional distance." The room went silent. Maya felt 7 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Richard's voice was quiet but carried weight. "Maya, you asked for this meeting. The floor is yours." Maya stood, her hands steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. She'd practiced this moment with Patricia, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of facing these 7 people who held her future in their hands. "Thank you for seeing me," she began. "I know my candidacy for partnership has become complicated, and I take full responsibility for my part in that complication. But I want to make sure you have the complete context before you make your decision." She opened her portfolio, though she didn't need to look at her statement. The words were burned into her memory. 6 weeks ago, I began a relationship with Cameron Pierce. I didn't disclose it within 30 days because Jennifer Hartwell discovered it through illegal device tracking and immediately began using it as blackmail material. She threatened to expose the relationship unless I sabotaged the Castellano case and destroyed my own partnership prospects. When I refused and reported her actions to Richard, she escalated to stalking, harassment, and filing a retaliatory lawsuit. Maya paused, meeting each partner's eyes in turn. 2 weeks ago, Richard called me into his office and gave me a directive. Maintain professional distance from Cameron, avoid being seen together, and don't give Jennifer's lawyers any ammunition. I agreed to that directive, and then I violated it, multiple times, knowingly. Michael leaned back in his chair. That's what concerns us, Maya. You looked Richard in the eye, agreed to his instructions, and then immediately disregarded them. I did, Maya acknowledged, because the night I agreed to that directive, Jennifer showed up outside my apartment building at 3 a.m. She stood on the street and sent me texts promising to deliver justice personally. She'd already proven she had surveillance footage. She'd already proven she knew where I lived, and I was terrified. The room was absolutely silent now. Cameron came to my apartment that night because I called him, scared and alone, after Jennifer's stalking incident. He stayed because I needed someone I trusted, someone who made me feel safe when I was being terrorized by a woman who'd already proven she would stop at nothing to destroy me. He stayed the next few nights for the same reason. And yes, we were together during those nights. Yes, we violated Richard's directive about maintaining distance. And no, I don't regret it. Sarah Kim's expression had softened slightly. Maya, no one is questioning whether you were justified in being afraid. But you're questioning whether I should be partnership material if I can't follow a direct order from the managing partner, Maya finished. I understand that, but Richard's directive wasn't disciplinary. It wasn't an ethics requirement. It was advice about optics and appearances. And when Jennifer escalated to stalking and threats of violence, I made a choice. I chose my safety and my relationship over perfect compliance with an advisory directive. That's a concerning pattern of judgment, David said. Partnership requires the ability to put the firm's interests ahead of personal desires. Does it? Maya's voice sharpened. Or does partnership require the ability to make difficult decisions under impossible circumstances? Because that's what I did. I assessed the situation. A stalker outside my building, a restraining order that couldn't be enforced until morning, a woman who'd already proven she was watching my every move, and I made a choice. I chose not to be alone and terrified just to maintain the appearance of perfect compliance. Victoria was nodding slowly. Diana looked thoughtful. Robert Martinez was taking notes. I've worked at this firm for 6 years, Maya continued. I've billed over 2,500 hours every year. I've won cases, brought in clients, and mentored junior associates. I've proven my dedication and my competence. And yes, I fell in love with someone I shouldn't have fallen in love with, at a time when that love was being weaponized against me by a woman who wanted to destroy my career. I made choices that violated policy. But I also refused to be blackmailed, refused to sabotage my own work, and refused to let Jennifer Hartwell turn me into a victim. Maya placed both hands on the table, leaning forward. So yes, I violated Richard's directive. I did it knowingly, understanding the consequences. And I'm standing here today asking you to judge me not just on those violations, but on 6 years of excellent work, on the context of those violations, and on the fact that despite everything Jennifer Hartwell has thrown at me, I'm still here. I'm still fighting, and I still deserve this partnership. The silence that followed her statement felt weighted, pregnant with decision. Finally, Richard spoke. Thank you, Maya. That was comprehensive. Ms. Ramos, do you have anything to add? Patricia stood. Only this. Jennifer Hartwell is facing criminal charges for stalking and harassment. Her lawsuit is frivolous and will be dismissed. The surveillance footage she's threatening to release was obtained through illegal means and would subject her to additional criminal charges. Maya Reeves is not the villain in this story. She's a victim who refused to stay a victim. And if this firm punishes her for that, you're sending a message to every woman here that when they're harassed and threatened, their careers matter less than appearances. The words hung in the air like a challenge. We'll need time to deliberate, Richard said finally. Maya, Patricia, please wait in the conference room down the hall. We'll call you when we've reached a decision. Maya and Patricia gathered their materials and left the room. The moment the door closed behind them, Maya's legs nearly gave out. Patricia caught her elbow, steadying her. You did well, Patricia said quietly as they walked to the smaller conference room. Very well. I couldn't tell if they were convinced. Neither could I, but you gave them everything they needed to make the right decision. Now we wait. The waiting was excruciating. Maya paced the small conference room while Patricia answered emails on her phone, projecting a calm Maya couldn't begin to feel. 20 minutes passed, then 30. At 45 minutes, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Tick-tock. Wonder what they're saying about you in there? Think they believe your little speech? Or are they discussing how to fire you without getting sued? Jennifer. Still watching, still taunting. Maya showed the text to Patricia, who immediately forwarded it to Detective Chen with a note about another restraining order violation. Then Patricia looked up at Maya. She's desperate, Patricia said. She knows she's losing, so she's trying to get in your head. Before Maya could respond, the conference room door opened. Richard stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Maya, he said, the committee would like to speak with you again. Maya's heart hammered as she followed Richard back to the larger conference room. Patricia walked beside her, a steadying presence. When they entered, all 7 partners were still seated, but the energy in the room had shifted. Victoria was smiling slightly. Diana looked satisfied. Even Michael's stern expression had softened a fraction. Richard returned to his seat at the head of the table. Maya, we've discussed your candidacy at length. We've reviewed your work product, your billable hours, your client relationships, and the context of recent events. We've also considered the policy violations and the complications those violations create. Maya's throat was tight. She couldn't read Richard's tone. After careful deliberation, Richard continued, this committee has reached a decision regarding your partnership candidacy. He paused, and Maya felt time stretch impossibly thin. However, Richard said, and Maya's heart plummeted, before we announce that decision, we need to address one final matter. The door to the conference room burst open. Jennifer Hartwell stood in the doorway, her blonde hair disheveled, her eyes wild. She was flanked by 2 security guards who looked like they'd been trying and failing to restrain her. You can't do this without me, Jennifer said, her voice shaking with fury. I have a right to be heard. I have evidence. I have. Miss Hartwell, you are in violation of a restraining order, Richard said, his voice ice cold. Security, please escort her from the building and contact the police immediately. No. Jennifer lunged forward and Maya instinctively stepped back. You don't understand. She manipulated all of you. She seduced Cameron. She lied to Richard. She got me fired to cover her tracks. I have video. I have proof. The security guards grabbed Jennifer's arms, but she fought against them, her voice rising to a shriek. She doesn't deserve partnership. She doesn't deserve anything. I'm going to destroy her. I'm going to. Jennifer. Richard's voice cut through her tirade like a blade. You have 30 seconds to leave this building voluntarily, or you will be arrested for trespassing, restraining order violation, and disrupting a private business meeting. Your choice. Jennifer's face twisted with rage and desperation. For a moment, Maya thought she might actually attack someone. Then, abruptly, Jennifer went limp in the security guard's grip. This isn't over, she said, her voice dropping to something cold and venomous. You think you've won, Maya? You haven't. I still have the videos. I still have everything. And when I release them, everyone will see what you really are. The security guards hauled her from the room. Her voice echoed down the hallway, still shouting threats, until a door closed and cut off the sound. The silence in the conference room was deafening. Richard's face had gone pale. Victoria looked shaken. Patricia immediately pulled out her phone, presumably to alert Detective Chen. Maya stood frozen, her heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. Jennifer had been here, in the building, had gotten past security and made it all the way to the 42nd floor. Richard cleared his throat. My apologies for that disruption. Security will be reviewing how she gained access to this floor. He looked at Maya, and something in his expression had shifted. Are you all right? I'm fine, Maya managed, though her hands were shaking. We're calling the police, Patricia said, her phone already at her ear. That was a clear restraining order violation, and she made verbal threats witnessed by multiple people. Richard nodded. Agreed. Security is already contacting NYPD. He looked around the table at the other partners. Given this development, I think we should postpone. No, Maya said. The word came out stronger than she'd expected. No, we shouldn't postpone. That's exactly what she wants. She wants to disrupt this meeting, to make it about her, to keep me in limbo. I won't give her that. Victoria's eyes gleamed with something like approval. I agree with Maya. We've made our decision. Jennifer Hartwell's theatrics don't change the facts we've already considered. Richard studied Maya for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Very well. He straightened in his chair, and when he spoke again, his voice carried formal weight. Maya Reeves, after careful consideration of your work product, your dedication to this firm, the context of recent events, and your conduct during an extremely difficult situation, this committee has voted on your partnership candidacy. Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't move, could only stand there while 7 senior partners looked at her with expressions she couldn't quite read. The vote, Richard said, was not unanimous. Maya's heart sank. However, Richard continued, and the ghost of a smile touched his lips, 5 of 7 partners voted in favor of your elevation to partnership, effective immediately. Welcome to the partnership, Maya. The words didn't register at first. Maya stood there, stunned, certain she'd misheard. Congratulations, Victoria said, standing and extending her hand across the table. You earned this. Diana was smiling broadly. Well-deserved, partner. Robert and Sarah added their congratulations. Even Michael, who'd voted against her, it had to have been Michael and David, offered a grudging nod. Maya shook hands mechanically, her mind still trying to process what had just happened. She'd made partner. Despite everything, Jennifer's harassment, the lawsuit, the policy violations, the surveillance footage, the public press conference, she'd made partner. Patricia squeezed her shoulder. Congratulations, Maya. This is what winning looks like. But as Maya accepted congratulations from the partners who'd just changed her life, she couldn't shake the memory of Jennifer's face twisted with rage, couldn't forget her final threat. I still have the videos. I still have everything. The battle was over. Maya had won, but the war, she suspected, was just beginning.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.